The Israeli occupation is stepping up in occupation measures in the West. Russia affirms that the military methods will not solve the crisis in Syria and it will not find a mechanism to bring all sides to the table and stop the violence, nor will it prevent external intervention. Our brave army made the terrorists suffer heavy losses in Damascus, Homs and Aleppo. Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. The UN Security Council has called on the Israeli occupation's government and Palestinian factions to abide by the provisions of the ceasefire agreement that started to be enforced yesterday evening, following 8 days of Israeli systematic aggressions on Gaza, which left more than 160 Palestinians dead and more than 1,200 injured, mostly women and children. The Council urged for serious steps to get the agreement implemented. This was contained in the statement read out by the Council's chairman, Hardeep Singh, at the conclusion of a 2-hour meeting yesterday. The statement did not include any calls on the Israeli occupation's government to end the unjust blockade imposed on Gaza. The Council stressed the need for humanitarian assistance to be offered to those harmed by the Israeli raids. Hours after the enforcement of the ceasefire agreement between the Israeli occupation authorities and the Gaza Strip, Israeli occupation troops today detained 55 Palestinians from various parts of the West Bank, including members of the Palestinian Legislative Council. Israeli forces broke into Jenin at dawn today, arresting 3 Palestinians after storming into their houses and vandalizing their contents. They also entered the Ammon village using sniper dogs. They handed the relatives of Palestinian citizen Samed Abdul Ghani Abu al-Hija, 32, a notification to turn himself into the occupation troops in Salim camp. Confrontations erupted in the village between the Palestinians and the Israeli occupation forces, who fired bullets and erected barricades inside the village, detaining several Palestinians. An Israeli occupation army unit, meanwhile, stormed into Taqua town in Beit Lahem, breaking into several Palestinians' houses, inspecting them and apprehending 2 Palestinians. They also stormed into Jenin, Al-Zababda, Qubatiya and Muthallath al-Shuhada, planting up bushes in a provocative step. The Russian Foreign Ministry has affirmed that militarizing the situation will not solve the crisis in Syria, and the Syrians should look for a mechanism to combine the government authority and the opposition in order to stop the bloodshed, prevent foreign intervention and conduct democratic reforms. On his part, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ribkov warned against militarizing the Syrian-Turkish borders, as this would lead to the escalation of tension. He called on concerned countries to work for a political solution. He also urged Turkey's allies in NATO to study carefully and scrutinize Turkey's request before deploying the Patriot missile system along the borders with Syria. On his part, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov has declared that a delegation of the National Coordination Commission of the Democratic Change Forces in Syria will visit Moscow on the 28th and 29th of this month. In a special statement to Russia Today satellite channel, Bogdanov said the delegation will pay this visit at the official invitation of the Russian side in order to discuss the latest developments of the crisis in Syria. He added that the table of negotiations in Moscow will remain open before all the factions of the Syrian opposition without exception. According to Russia Today sources, the delegation will meet Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and his deputy Mikhail Bogdanov. In response to the accusations leveled by Erdogan against Iraqi Prime Minister Al-Maliki that the latter has been stirring up a civil war in Iraq, Al-Maliki called on Erdogan, in a statement issued by the Information Bureau, to focus attention on addressing Turkey's internal issues and avoid entangling it in with the problems of regional states. Maliki affirmed that Turkey is facing an internal situation that is a source of concern and the Turkish government should be aware of this fact. The statement added that the Turkish people are looking forward to a political change and Turkey has a good chance concerning its relations with Iraq based on respect, exchange of interests and non-interference in the internal affairs. The statement affirmed that there will be no civil war in Iraq thanks to the Iraqis' awareness and internal cohesion. The statement asserted that the Iraqi federal government will not allow the oil war predicted by Erdogan to break out and will continue to protect the country's oil, which is the property of all the Iraqis. In Damascus suburbs, an army unit continued to pursue mercenary terrorists, eliminating a large number of them in Daraya. In Al-Diabiyah, several terrorists were killed, including non-Syrians. Among them, Muhammad Fahd and Ahmad, nicknamed Abu Ali, a Jordanian, were identified. In Ain Tarma, an army unit eliminated a terrorist group near Al-Ghaida bridge. The leader of the group, dubbed the Whale, was wounded. In Homs, a unit of the army clashed with an armed terrorist group in Jurat al-Shayyah district and inflicted upon them heavy losses, destroying their equipment. A resource in the governorate said that the operation resulted in the death and the injury of many terrorists. A unit of the armed forces also carried out a qualitative operation in the Bab Hood area and arrested a number of terrorists during the operation. In Aleppo, within the framework of their national duty, the armed forces cleaned Al-Lirmon square from armed terrorist groups. Earlier, Syrian Arab Army killed tens of terrorists in a series of operations in various areas. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more news about Syria and the region, and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy.